Vardhan Babu, I hope you are not underwater now. He lives in Mumbai.
There has been a continuous downpour here.
And I started writing also. So I published 3 books. Then I have started writing short articles also, working on my 4th and 5th books as well. Background. Vardhan.
Let me just add to that that these articles are published at least twice in a week.
No.
I have seen some of them. They're very well written.
Once I wrote to him saying that my speed of reading is slower than his speed of writing.
Do you want me to switch off the light behind me? I think for today, it should not matter.
So your light is sufficient. That means, Sanjay, the problem is at your end. Majority is on our side.
Or else I am losing my hearing now.
That there is no problem. You hear loud and clear.
Okay.
Somewhere in COVID, I decided to call it quits, and I thought that I will now devote time to following my passions and spend time and enjoy doing that. So one of my interests is understanding our heritage or our spiritual what do you call history, and so in that direction I am doing something. I am learning, or I'm trying to understand what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. And I think in life, whatever my belief today is that from school or colleges itself, we should start learning what Bhagavad Gita is, because it's not a religious book. It is actually the way you should live your life and how to face life successfully. And that is something which in today's world is extremely important, because, and that is one of my objective, is that at some point of time in future I would like to write on that. So that is
I have been in the US for the last 21 years. My background is in political science. So I'm from Kolkata. I did my political science honors from Presidency College. Then I headed to Jawaharlal Nehru University. After a short stint at teaching in a college, I headed towards US. I did my second master's in political science. After that, I started working in think tanks, in US-based think tanks. And after that, I was teaching how to write, how to edit, how to speak on social policy to students and interns. Sometime around my mid-30s, I also wanted to start writing fiction. And I was nervous about writing fiction because all these stories that came out from my interaction with people, when I got to know their stories, I had to go out and talk to people and find their quotes for my writing. And I thought I needed a more liberal, a more free format. I started where a lot of new writers start, with short stories. I started writing poems. And then when they started getting published one by one, I got the confidence of writing a full-length novel. Yeah, so my book, Beneath the Veneer, it is a mystery, it's a thriller mystery format. But a lot of readers have called it a social thriller as well.
And I believe you also said that you write poems also, right? Poetry also.
Yes.
So be careful of Vardhan. He might ask you to read a poetry also. Might. I'm not sure, but he might ask you. So that was the 3 of us in our most unguarded moments. And what does Sreya look like? Or who is Sreya beneath the veneer? Let's find out. A warm namaste, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to all our viewers from India, US, and across the globe. We bring you yet another episode of the show, which is now almost 3 years old. We started in October 2021. So before I introduce to you the guest for the evening, let me put the spotlight on the moderator and introduce him. Vardhan is a science graduate and chartered accountant with over 30 years of experience in leadership roles at various Indian multinational companies. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he decided to leave the corporate world to pursue his passions. Currently, he is learning Sanskrit and studying the Bhagavad Gita, driven by a deep interest in India's spiritual heritage. He has authored blogs on various Indian festivals, highlighting their relevance in modern times. Besides his scholarly pursuits, he is an avid photographer and enjoys cooking. He aspires to write about India's spiritual heritage in the near future. Vardhan, I think you now need to change the narrative, and actually start writing about the spiritual heritage, so that I can say that he now writes on India's spiritual heritage.
Your word is my command. That will be done.
So thank you, and once again welcome you on the show, Vardhan. Now let me introduce to you our guest for the evening. That is Sreya Sarkar for you. Originally hailing from Kolkata, Shreya spent her childhood in a civil service family surrounded by voracious readers and vibrant political discussions, and nurtured a wish to write from an early age. It is no surprise that Shreya would turn into a public policy analyst, journalist, and author in her adulthood. She worked in public policy research and advocacy in US think tanks, and non-profits such as Cascade Policy Institute and Heartland Institute before becoming a freelance writer with her fingers dipped in multiple fiction and non-fiction projects. Her debut novel, Beneath the Veneer, is a women-centric social thriller. The newly sprouted town of Rangvihar has lured people with the promise of a heaven away from Delhi's maddening din. But beneath its swanky veneer lurks a hidden evil that is devouring the town's safety. Six women with troubled pasts move to the town with the hope of starting their lives afresh. So, who is Shreya beneath the veneer? Let us find out. Over to you, Shreya and Vardhan.
Thank you. So, namaskar to all our viewers in Bharat, that is India, and outside of India, and welcome to the show, and a warm welcome and namaste to our guest today, Miss Sreya Sarkar, a very distinguished lady with fingers in so many buckets, so to say. She is public policy person, she is a journalist, she is an author, she is a poet. So all of these hats she wears so easily and straddles across all these forms. So welcome Sreya to the show.
Namaskar, sir. Hello to all the viewers. Sanjay sir, thank you for the generous introduction and for giving me this platform to talk about my writing and my book. And hello, Vardhan sir. I look forward to a great discussion.
So let's begin. So my first question is, you write fiction, non-fiction, as well as poems. So which form of these you find more challenging?
Thank you for the question, sir. You know what? It depends on what time of the day it is for me, actually. Early morning, I tend to get a bit philosophical and I turn to nature. I live amidst nature. I'm in this New England town, so I'm surrounded with nature. So yeah, I give the early mornings to a lot of philosophical thoughts. That's when I think the poems come to me very easily. And then as the day proceeds, I turn to the news channels, what's happening around us in the big wide world. I think that is the time when I go back to nonfiction writing, looking at news and writing articles on that. And I would say late evening is when I ponder on how to cook all that into a fiction format. Not that every day is the same, but just time-wise, I think it depends on what the time is. But what comes naturally to me, I would say, is writing nonfiction because that's my training. What has been challenging till now is writing the fiction stories, the full-length stories, because they're so complex and they have, a will of their own.
Perfect. I think that's a very logical and rational way of thinking and progressing during the day. Is the morning is beautiful, and that's the time when you will get good ideas. And as the day progresses, then you keep moving on. Between writing novels and writing poems, what do you think is more interesting, more challenging, and what gives you more pleasure?
I think writing poems might be the most difficult, because you use such less words and you have to be brave enough to wear your heart, to show it to people. It can be a very personal experience. So I think it's very challenging to write poems, though I love doing it from time to time. But for me, writing poems is the most difficult one, the most challenging one, but I still love it a lot.
I agree completely with you. Is that to me as a reader, conveying in such few words a deeper meaning is always going to be a tougher task, and I completely agree with you on that. Since you have written poems and you have already published a book on that, book of poems, maybe if you can talk about that book, we would definitely love to know more about it.
Sure, sir. So in 2022, this book came out, The Same Sky.
Yes.
I co-authored it with Shankur Sarkar. It's available on Flipkart right now. So this collaboration happened during the pandemic, sir. We were, of course, at the two ends of the globe, but we were in touch. He liked my writing. I liked his writing, Shankar sir's. And he said, why don't we just, put our poems together, our thoughts together, especially on pandemic and what we are thinking, how challenging it has been. So it culminated in that book, The Same Sky. I wish it was available more widely, but it's a very small publishing house in Kolkata, and it's available in India right now. So yeah, it is just our thoughts from two parts of the world and the similarity in our thinking that brought together that book.
Okay, maybe if you can talk about couple of poems that are very dear to you.
Can I read out one poem for
Oh
you?
yes, please.
Okay.
That will be really good.
Sure, sure. So there is one particular poem which is close to my heart. And because of all that was happening around us during the pandemic, sir, I wrote this with that in mind. It's called The Art of Losing. A microorganism, invisible to the naked eye, turned the macro world upside down. Mankind transformed into a heap of organs, failing one at a time at a feverish pace. The freezing Yeti footprints of death stomped across the planet like an unstoppable storm. Volcanic ashes of ennui covered all, emptied every color except the ambiguous gray. All art was lost except the art of losing. Man had to master it overnight. For an eternity, he was trained how to hustle, to limit his humanity, curb his conscience. To keep winning was a necessity for survival. Losing was unacceptable, unfair even. Now, with the rise of enduring loss in the most wanted skills list, there is no school to teach him that. He will face the faceless demon, let pain wash over him and his pride, and finally unlearn.
Beautiful, emotional,
Thank you so
very
much.
emotional and very sensitive. It's
Thank you,
really,
sir.
I can really imagine that book must be something which is a gem of a ideas, and we must read that. Thank you very much. Thanks for reciting that poem. No, between poems and novels, my personal belief is that today the audience or readers for poems is not that significant or that large. Do you think that is correct perception that I am having?
You're absolutely right, sir. I had felt that too. Whenever I've put out my poems individually on social media posts and such and platforms, people have appreciated. But I don't think that people want to really, go to the market, to the shop and buy a poetry collection. Because I think number one, they feel it's too deep. They don't want to invest themselves emotionally to go there because it does, bring out very raw emotions. And the second is they think it's too personal. It's not something that is going to interest them because I think people think that the poem they write that interests them, and not other people's. But I just wish that this changes because I think poems, they have this quality, this universal quality of drawing everyone in. And at times when we are choked, we don't find words. When we read something emotional and hard hitting, it helps us to heal. So I just wish that people invest themselves in reading poems and understanding them. I think it's also the lack of time. People are in such a rush; they don't want to sit and think too much. So yeah, unfortunately, it's true.
But I hope that you keep writing poems and keep publishing them, because that's something which is very important. Is that if people start reading good poems, then maybe over a
Yes.
period of time, and there are many more authors or many more poets who publish their poems, then chances are that maybe again you will find a reader base for poems as well.
I totally agree, sir. I think that's the key to keep writing and to keep reading and, making it more and more popular by spreading it.
Right. Coming to your debut novel, and a very interesting title, and as Sanjay described, a social mystery is something which intrigued me. And
Mhm.
I thought that I will ask you what exactly is this genre that you are talking about, and maybe then you can talk about that book itself, the characters in that. How did you get the inspiration to write this novel, ups and downs of
Uh-huh.
that, everything?
Sure, sure. Let me quickly show you the book. Can you see it, sir?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So,
now we can
yeah,
see it.
great, great. So, Beneath the Veneer was published earlier this year in February by Alcove Publishers. And it's doing actually pretty well. I'm getting good reviews, good feedback. So, that's encouraging. I'll tell you a bit about where this book came from. So, I should go back a long time. When the Nirbhaya case happened, what happened is I understood that this is something that really rattles the whole society. And then there was so much discussion around it. It was such an unfortunate incident. That was 2012, sir. And then I
Yes.
became more conscious about the stories, the woman-centric stories out there, their struggles, what they grapple
Mm,
with at a
mm,
personal level. And I don't know if you remember, right after that, around 2013 or 14, the Duti Chand, the Olympic runner, that case happened where she was questioned about her gender. And she had this
yeah.
long fight with the federation, sports federation, which was so, it was a horrible fight. She had won so many medals for the country, but right after that, the media that celebrated her, they treated her so badly and they questioned her gender. So it was the indignity that she had faced, which also stayed with me. So, what happened, sir? All these stories stuck to me, and I thought that what is happening in India, all these women who are struggling, but they're doing it all alone. So they stayed with me, and with time, I thought, let me do an experiment. Let me see if I can draw out a few of these stories and put them together in one place. So that is how this book was born. So I thought in my mind that women, they are friends, and there's not too much of focus on that in social media, in feature films, in OTT, everywhere, even in literature. Sometimes they're pitted against each other, but the camaraderie factor is not really talked about. So this book shows how women can be friends when they come together. they can climb very tall mountains and protect themselves and their friends. So that's how Beneath the Veneer happened. And talking about the genre, I had a tough time convincing my agent and also the publishing houses that what genre this belonged to. Because they said, what is it? Is it mystery? Is it a mystery thriller? Is it a social commentary? What is it? And then I said, you know what? The format is is a mystery thriller, but the content is a social commentary. The background stories are like that. So I would say it straddles both the genres, and that is how, this book was born. And thank God, Alcove understood my vision with what I want to do with the book. And so this was published. And let me tell you just a bit about it. There's a universal thread, the universal theme threading the story. It's about women's safety. Wherever you are in the world, developed country, developing country, this is something that's always on people's mind, on women's mind. And it's not just India, every country struggles with it. And I just wanted to bring this to the fore, that over and above all the layers of problems that society faces, this is one issue that has still got it's not checked yet. And I just hope that people remember that protecting their own is important. So that's the background of this book.
Very interesting and very relevant to our times today. And the topic that you have selected, I think it is important that we write about such issues and bring it to the people's attention, public attention, that we need to be conscious and serious about these things.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe if you can read a passage from that book, our viewers would definitely love that.
Sure, I can do that. Let me just read the very beginning of the story. Okay. This will give you an insight of, Rangvihar, which is the town that is set in. Rangvihar was not just a freshly minted spanking town. It was a ray of hope, an opportunity to reboot and restart lives, especially for those who had been bruised with life's trials and tribulations. Erected right outside the southeastern boundaries of New Delhi, the town's newly formed municipality advertised it as a modern mixed-use settlement built of steel and concrete floors stacked on top of each other in a regimented grid pattern. The town design offered an assortment of high-end shops on the ground floor with chic corporate offices above, and over them all, contemporary residential condominiums, housing a steady a flow of employees who worked in private firms and corporations. Despite its decidedly suave appearance, tucked along the periphery of this avant-garde citadel were some establishments not particularly favored by the town administration. Rangvihar was flanked by a water treatment plant discharging frothy wastewater on one side and an industrial estate on the other, emitting odious chemical fumes. Land zoning could not do away with these pre-existing agencies that were environmentally hazardous, making the grimy air quality murkier and filling the narrow canal running alongside it with filth. So this is the beginning of the book, which shows that it represents all the satellite towns, sir, that's coming up around the mid-metropolitan cities. And the town administration, it always advertises that it's like this safe new town, which will draw people who want to restart their lives. So that is what Rangvihar is. I would like to mention here, sir, if I may, that along with the 6 women that I talk about, their lives and how they come together, I feel Rangvihar is also a character in my book. Because it represents all that we are sometimes afraid of and yet fascinated about. Delhi for me is such a city I grew up there and I went back there again when I was doing my master's. The city fascinated me and it terrified me at the same time. So I think
Mhm.
Rangvihar kind of represents that emotion.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And thanks a lot. I think our viewers would definitely get motivated to now buy that book and read it fully. So
Thank you,
thanks,
sir.
thanks for reading. You know, one of the questions that keeps coming to my mind is, one is of course writing the book. Second is, and more important, I think after that is finding a publisher and then marketing that book so that it reaches the readers, the ultimate destination. So how
Right.
important and how critical it is for an author, and particularly a budding author, to find a good literary agent? What role does he play, and how much important it is for you to get one good agent?
Mhm. I think it's very important to get a literary agent because there's so many technical sides of the publishing world that new authors would not know about, they are outsiders. So first of all, getting an agent, I tried getting an agent in the US or in India, whichever would work. I got one in India. What's important is that them understanding your vision, not just this one book, but your kind of writing, your style of writing, and the kind of audience that you're going to draw in. Because also in most places publishing houses, they don't take unsolicited manuscripts. They always try to get it through an agent, and also the agent, I think the agency helps in um, understanding the story, streamlining the story better, making the manuscript more readable. The kind of advice that I got from my agent, the book bakers, the agency, was very valuable because they told me that, they gave me the first of all, they gave me the confidence that the story has, it looks promising, it's good, and they just asked me to tweak the story here and there to make it more readable. So yes, getting an agency into an agency that understands you, working with them is of utmost importance.
I think that is, this advice of yours or your experience will definitely help the budding authors, that not only writing the book is important, but for that book to see the light of the day, finding a good agent is
Yes.
equally important, if not more important.
And India has some agencies now, fortunately. So if you just Google, you're going to find out. It's not that difficult to find them.
Yeah, I think today's world, Google has made life that much easier.
Absolutely.
So since you are based in US, and now US has a significant Indian population, do you think that there is a big market for Indian authors to reach out to the readers in US, and how should they do that?
It has definitely grown, sir, in the last decade or so. Indian readers have increased, Indian writers have also increased. And it is a challenge, I would say, because traveling these two markets, these two countries, different time zones, and as I have learned, Amazon is not as seamless as it seems. I thought if my book is available on Amazon, it's going to be available everywhere. But now I find out that only the physical copies are available in India and the Kindle version. Rest of the world get to see just the Kindle version because of some rules that Amazon has. What I would like to say here is the market is increasing. Readers want to read stories written by Indian authors, but they want to read contemporary stories. They want to read more about what's happening in India, in Indian society, Indian politics, everyday life right now. Because there have been many stories which is, romanticizing the past. um, that
Yeah,
is fine, but there is a lag, I would say, between Indians living outside India and in India. Indians outside, they still have this frozen idea of what India was, and they stick to that, but they need to know what's happening, what's really happening here, and they're opening up to that. But it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of initiative on part of book clubs, on part of the diaspora population to really feature books written by Indian authors and to make them available. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that it's going to happen. At least the process has started.
Perfect. I think in years to come, you will find, and I hope that it becomes true, is that we will find more and more Indian authors becoming world authors, not only restricted to India and Indian population, but also get an audience which is pan-Indian or pan-global, so to say.
Plan go,
And
yeah.
yeah, I think in next 10 years that should start happening. So coming back to your plans, what are your future plans and what should we expect from you in, let's say, next 12 months and 24 months?
Right now, I am focusing on, getting the word out on my book. Let me just show this to the audience once more. So this is available on Amazon. Please go get a copy. If you want to read a woman-centric story that would rattle you, it is not a very cozy book. It will trouble you, but that was the intention, to make people more and more aware of what's happening and what we can do at a personal level. I am currently writing many other articles, non-fiction articles, but the fiction project that I'm working on right now is very ambitious. I can't talk too much about it, but I am looking at climate change right now. And I'm trying to see what might happen in 2050 if I can write a fiction on that, that fast forward 25 years, what's happening in Kolkata, because Kolkata is kind of one of those in the danger zone that might get flooded. So what if it does? How do people, adapt to that, adjust to that? So my next book is ambitious. I'm a bit, anxious about it because it's a new genre. Once again, I can never stick to one genre. But hopefully, in a year or two, that would be finished, and I would have something to show.
That will be really interesting and exciting, because I think today everybody is aware that we are facing a danger, but how serious that is and what are the possibilities, what will go wrong and what will happen is something which is left to imagination. Now, even if you come out with a book which is sort of fiction, it's really actually going to be a reality if we don't address that.
That's right.
Very, very relevant topic that you have selected.
And such fiction has that capacity to draw in people. You can write a lot of articles and distribute a lot of data and numbers, but somehow, fiction touches people and people remember those stories. So hopefully it's going to be impactful.
Yes. Since you are a poet also, are you writing poems and are you thinking about publishing a book of that as well?
Maybe not a collection right now, but I keep writing, sir. As I said, early morning makes me very philosophical. So sometimes I pen down some lines. And, there are some magazines here and in India, and the bilingual magazines that keep asking me for something or the other. So that is good. I keep sending them something. So hopefully, maybe once I'm done with the fiction project, I'll turn back to poetry more seriously.
Perfect. That's interesting. That sounds very interesting. Now, if Sanjay permits us, then we will have one rapid fire round, but that is with Sanjay's permission. Perfect. So, as you may be aware that as part of the show, we also have a rapid fire round, and I am sure that you will enjoy answering the questions. Should we go ahead?
Sure.
Perfect. So, your first love, poems or novels?
Poems.
Poems. Okay. Your preferred reading style, Kindle or hard copy?
Hard copy. Though now I have turned to Kindle because it's more convenient. But I love the smell of the pages, physical copy.
If you were to be reborn, what it would be? How it would be?
I would like to be reborn as myself. I know. I stand for what I am today. I would want to be nothing else.
Okay. Your favorite poet?
Oh, Sylvia Plath. I love her. I love her writing style. It's a bit depressing, but it just stays with me forever.
And US or India?
New England is beautiful. I have adapted, or this country has adapted me, but I will always have a soft corner for Kolkata.
Perfect. So congratulations, you have come out with the flying colors. And next time when you are in
So
India,
next time when you are in Mumbai, Vardhan is going to treat you to his cooking, excellent cooking, which I hope
Yes.
would be by the time you come, it would be, it will
Yeah.
be really much better.
I will read him a poem and he's going to, serve whatever the skills that he has learned in the kitchen.
perfect. Actually, that will be a great day.
Sorry, sir?
I said that will be a great day to spend.
I look forward to it.
Cooking and reading or reciting poems.
Absolutely. Sanjay sir, you can also join us.
Oh, certainly, I would love to. I think that is that. Okay, so that's a date, I would say. Yeah, certainly. So that was really a very engrossing conversation that we had, Shreya, and it was really a
Thank you, sir.
privilege and a pleasure to have you with us this evening. We have Rohit. Would you like to ask something? Shreya is based in America now, and she has written. You have seen her. You were able to join a little late. So, would you still like to ask her something?
As in, what should I be asking? Because I do not know the topic at all. That's why.
That's okay. That's the right response that
Like,
you give.
if I have to ask something, matlab, should I be talking about any book in particular or any subject matter that is related to economics or what?
Have you gone through her CV or the profile? No, I think let's leave
I
it
just
for
got
today.
a notification. I just saw it and I immediately joined.
Okay, so let's leave it for today. Maybe next time. Or if you
Rohit,
have, yeah, Shreya.
I have a quick comment. Rohit, just Google up my name. I write socio-political articles. So if you're interested in that, you can
Socio-political
find some
articles,
material.
right? Socio-political articles.
That's right.
Okay. One quick question then. As in this particular environment that is concerning social security about food, what is your take about the general American perspective and how it is affecting the Indian environment in general?
Well, that's a very loaded question. I worked for a food bank for a while. So I have come across people actually grappling with poverty and social and food insecurity over here. One thing I can say, it's very different from what we see in India. It can't be compared at all. Here, there is a lot of avenues, lot of resources helping the homeless, helping those who are facing food insecurity. And in India, it is so much different. But I think that the civil society is more, it participates more deeply in India, which is good. And I don't think the countries can be compared too much because of how different their social and political situations are. But at times I thought when Americans complained about food insecurity, I said, at least you're getting some kind of food. This is, you can't even compare it with a developing country, So yeah, that's my 2 cents. But do look up my articles if you're interested.
But don't you think that it has something to do with the social security that has been enshrined in the American Constitution as of late, and that has not been a very much of a talking point in India?
Social security has weathered down here. There are a lot of immigrants coming in, legal, illegal. There's a lot of pressure on the system. So it's a whole new topic. It's changing, but yes, it is in place. Whereas in India, they're still grappling with the basic alphabets. So how can they write anything?
So I think we are running. So now
we are
running out of time, Rohit. So maybe, we can take this forward maybe offline someday when Shreya is also free and you are also free. And so thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much for joining. And that brings us to an end of today's episode, viewers. It was really wonderful to have you with us, Shreya. I'll be sharing
Thank you so much.
I'll be sharing the recording of today's episode on my YouTube channel as well as on other social media handles, tagging you as well. And you could in turn reshare with your friends and family as well. It was really wonderful, and so thank you all very much. Thank you, Vardhan. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Rohit, and thank you, viewers who joined us online. Have a safe
Yeah, thank you.
Sunday evening, and goodbye, everyone. Namaste.